The United Nations is celebrating World Refugee Day today, commemorating the strength, courage, and perseverance of refugees. And if you needed a reminder, well, the war in Ukraine is showing us once again the horror that people face when they are forced out of their homes by conflict or persecution. Since 1975, the United States has welcomed more than 3 million refugees from all over the world. And we asked 3 of them to share their stories.
My name is Jessie Calzado Esponda.
My name is Kumari Regmi.
My name is George Tart.
And this is the story
Of how I became
A refugee.
Some of the worst fighting in the endless civil war broke out near the American embassy.
I came to the United States in 1999 due to a 14-year civil war in Liberia, my birth country. I was about 6 years old when we fled Liberia. I lost a few family members, mainly my grandfather and my father. I personally almost got killed during the Civil War. I was standing on top of a hill and the bullet just came and, passed right by my ear.
I was 6 years old when my family were forcefully evicted from Bhutan.
The country's former ruler, King Jigme Sigme Wangchuk, imposed tough new citizenship laws on ethnic Nepalis.
All people has to practice Buddhism and then speak their language and then wear their clothing. I have many families that have been tortured. People were taken from the community and were beaten at night, so we could hear them crying at night. So my parents and my grandparents were talking, saying that, I think someone will come and will be killed, so we need to leave home right now.
In a blink of an eye and no fault of my own, I became a refugee. I came to the US when I was 7 years old, and this happened in 1995 when we had the huge migration of rafter crisis from Cuba coming to America.
13 Cuban boat people picked up in the Caribbean last week.
People who really prefer to just risk their life in going across the sea than to spend one more day in economically collapsed Cuba. Chaos erupted. They grabbed me, put me in this raft, and I actually became an accidental refugee by being placed in this raft. It was 16 people and a dog. I could never really fully describe the intensity of the sea. But then years later, I saw a movie, Castaway, and there was a scene where it's the water and it's the ocean and it was thundering. It brought me back to that moment. It was exactly what I experienced.
We made our way to Ghana, where we ended up living in Butuburan refugee camp.
I spent that 17 years in the refugee camp.
After we were rescued, we were transferred to Guantanamo Bay.
There was many days where, we went to bed hungry.
We used to eat rice in the morning and rice at night. There was no snacks or no fruits or anything. I've seen so many little kids dying because of malnutrition.
Staten Island was the first place that we got resettled.
I lived in Miami for a little bit, and then in Tampa, Florida.
The first day when I came to America was the day that Barack Obama was inaugurated.
So help me God. Congratulations, Mr. President.
I saw, on the news everywhere, Obama. I never forget that day.
It took a while to adjust to life in the United States.
I think the biggest challenge the first thing was the language barrier. And the other was the culture, the food, the clothing.
While the community was very supportive, the children could be very cruel.
When we first started school, due to the fact that we had a heavy accent, we were always made fun of.
Sometimes I was bullied because of my accent or because I didn't look like everyone else. And when people found out that I wasn't from America, children just were not educated. And as children do, they're like, well, why aren't you from America? That's weird, right?
We're called different type of African name. They asked me a question like if I used to walk around naked. It used to really upset me. I wish back then I would have just taken it upon myself to educate people on Africa.
I do wanted to tell people out there, listen to refugees, listen to their stories, and if you could help them, please help them.
No one's a refugee by choice.
A refugee can be anybody.
Despite some people's beliefs, we're not murderers. We're not people and women who are trying to steal your jobs. These are all people that prior to something happening to them We're just regular day people, just like everyday Americans, right? Living their lives, going to school, getting married, having fun. But it just takes a moment, you know, like the invasion of Russia into Ukraine, for you to become a refugee.
I think we saw that a lot recently in Ukraine, and a lot of people are saying, oh, this is not something you see in Europe, this is something you see in Africa. It just tells you that they don't really know what a refugee is.
If you only listen to them, you will know what they're going through, and just give them the place to live, like us.
Boy, and on this World Refugee Day, I think it's such a good reminder. I like what Jesse said, no one is a refugee by choice.
Right, there's a famous
It's a
poem
good point.
which has a wisdom in it, and it says that you don't put your child or your family in a boat unless the water is somehow safer than the land that you're stepping off of.
Yeah.
So true, and it's worth reminding us that. As you know, we have 3 million refugees since 1975, but the numbers have declined in recent years as we put new limits on who can come. And it's a reminder that they're not coming by choice.
No.
Right.
And
And it's up
also-
to us to remind our kids, our children, to embrace them, because we were
Not to
talking
be so
about it.
mean.
Not to be so mean.
Not to be so mean. You know, it's the type of thing that we take so much for granted, those of us who are born and raised here. The fact that Jessie said that the scene from Castaway reminded her what it took to get here is something we should think about from time to
And the
time.
country was founded by people fleeing persecution, let's recall as well, you know.
Right about
The
that.
only difference is time.
Yep.
I do think it's one of the greatest places to be, but sometimes you need a reminder what it takes to get here.
Yep.
Very nice job to you, Chris Z.
Well done.
Chris Zawitowski. I know I screwed it up. We'll call him Chris Z. And to you, the editor, Daniel
That's why we
Drake.
use the Chris Z.
I know. Zawitowski. Zawitowski?
There it goes.
Is that right? Zawitowski?
Yeah.
Zawistowski.
Zawistowski.
Zawistowski, because you know his parents are watching, and I don't want to screw up his name on national TV. Chris Z, bravo. Daniel Drake.
Nice job.
Those pieces are very hard to do
they
where
are.
there is no track,
They really
where
are.
you're just putting together people's stories
Yep.
and music and clips.
You're right.
Bravo, bravo, gentlemen.